Hi, another little ink review today. First one I did was for the Lamy turquoise there. Focus on that one because it's a nice little bottle. Very interesting design. If you want to find out more, please check back on my channel and see. The next ink I thought I'd do for very similar reasons is this Visconti Green. Now, this is now discontinued, certainly in this packaging and bottle, which is a bit of a shame really, because this really is one of the prettiest little bottles that you'll find out there really, I think. And it's what attracted me to the ink in the first place. Now, green isn't normally a colour which would excite me, to be perfectly honest. And in some ways, you know, maybe it hasn't got used that much since I got it, but when I found out that the bottles and the packaging were going to be discontinued, I just had to pick up whatever I could, and I got the green one, and I also got this brown one here, but we'll do that another day. So, packaging, very nice, little box, really good looking box, silver embossing on it, but the star of the show really is the bottle. There it comes. So there's not many bottles that you'll find which look quite like that, I don't think. Nice sort of, almost sort of hourglass shape. It's got that big well at the bottom, which allows you to get the last of the ink out without wasting too much. So, you know, like the Lamy, it can be hard to get ink out of a big flat-bottomed bottle without actually using a little pipette or a syringe or something like that. So I really like this design. Nice bit of glass, nice green, sort of flecked with black, sort of Bakelite sort of plastic cap, sort of very retro sort of feeling, and some branding around the edge there. The mouth of the bottle is quite nice and wide, so you can get pretty much any pen in there. I don't think you're going to have problems getting even the biggest pen in there. And the design's really, really nice. I just really liked it. It stood out. Now they've now replaced this with a very similar faceted, so it's actually angular and it looks good, but it's plastic. And really it was the glass one which really appealed. The only issue with it, I would say, is that there's some potential stability issues if you've got that on your desk and you've got your ink, sort of your pen rather, and you're working the piston. You know, could you tip that over? Maybe. I think probably the intention is that you actually just place it back in the box there whilst you're using it. So onto the ink itself. I've had this in my pens this week. Now, when we spoke, or when I did the last video, I was talking about using the Lamy 2000 with the medium nib and the Visconti, sorry, not Visconti, TWSBI Eco with fine nib. But what I found and what was commented on is actually the fine nib doesn't have the flow to show off the inks as much as possible on the paper. So I'm retiring the TWSBI from my reviews, and I'm going to replace it with the Delta New Gallery here, which is a nice broad nib. It's their fusion nib, and it's pretty generous and wet, and hopefully it will give the best of any ink on the paper. So with regards to Visconti ink itself, just to describe what it's like and my opinions of it before we go on to the writing sample, its colour is probably what one would describe as a forest green. Initially, sort of when I last used it, I always thought it was quite an earthy tone. It's not, it's really quite vibrant. To my eye, I think it's got some sort of blues and turquoise sort of tones in the colour. It certainly allows sort of a degree of shading on the paper. It's got a good contrast on the paper, which is very important for how I use my pens. So I use my pens in the workplace. I use it for making notes in meetings, and really legibility is incredibly important. And that's in some ways what turned me off the Lamy there, because it just isn't a strong enough contrast on the page. So the Visconti has got good contrast on the page. It shades well with thicker nibs. And it's got pretty good drying properties. It doesn't sort of pour out of the pen, it's well behaved, but in some ways, you know, it might be nice if it was slightly, as you'd say, wetter, just to chuck it out on the page a bit more and get a bit more shading. yeah, so that's really the ink in a nutshell. I'll do a writing sample. I'm going to try the Rhodia paper again, but this time the smaller pad, and I'll try and get a bit closer in. These Rhodia pads are absolutely fantastic. If you're interested in those, take a look at bureaudirect.co.uk, who hold a really good stock and probably my preferred supplier in the UK for these pads. Yeah, let's go on to the writing sample. Okay, let's start off with the writing sample. So to begin with, we'll do the Lamy 2000. A little bit awkward as I'm writing around the camera in the medium nib. So if you look beyond the quality of the handwriting, you'll see a nice deep forest green tones, nice quantity of ink going onto the paper. And I'll run out of room, but you'll see quite a nice flow of ink. Good shading, good contrast. Then if we go with the broad nib of the Delta New Gallery, again broad, you see even more generous ink flow. Hear a little bit of feedback on that nib. It's actually very smooth. There you go. Drying properties. Takes a little bit of time to dry, but that's down to the generous ink flow and the quality of this paper. Okay, let's do a quick little swatch test. And I think that probably really does show the blues and turquoises in there. Okay, I'll take a photo of that once it's dried, and thank you very much. Goodbye.